Do tune in for that, because we have an expert of road racing commentating on that, the excellent Steve Plater. Always worth a listen is the Plater. Right then, we are a few minutes away from the start of the Fuchs Silkerline British Supersport Championship race. So let's go to James Hayden, who is on the grid.
Well, I'm on the Supersport grid, and what a championship this has been this year. It's been absolutely incredible. But it's all been about two men. Ben Wilson here on the Gearlink Kawasaki and Alistair Seeley here on the Relentless Suzuki. Those guys have dominated it. Wins, 9 wins for Ben Wilson, 9 wins for Alistair Seeley. Just 4 points separate them right now, so really it is all to play for. Normally I'd be getting right up in their faces, getting in there, asking them about it, but I can see both of them. You can really feel the pressure on this grid. It's unbelievable. So instead, we're going to talk to one of the team managers. We're going to talk to Michael. Michael, we'll have a little word with you here.
Yeah, hi, James.
All comes down to this. It's been an unbelievable year. You've given us some of the greatest racing in the championship. How are you feeling? How's the boy going on?
Oh, it's tense. You can imagine, yeah. For sure, Ben's riding this year has been phenomenal. The team have really upped their game. We've done exceedingly well. But I never really thought it'd come down to this, the last race. And I think it's going to be like there's going to be 1 point in it. But we're just a bag of nerves. What do you expect, for goodness sake? You know, we just want it so bad. Ben wants it so bad, and I just really, really want it for him, you know.
Well, you've done a brilliant job, and it has come down to this. It is like a Hollywood script. We've enjoyed it, and, well, you couldn't write it any better. Any changes from like, the earlier race, or it's just get out there and do your thing?
No, I mean, the earlier race this morning, he had to play safe. You know what?
Awful conditions.
Yeah, it was so slippery, and you know, what if he'd come off? It'd all have been over. So, no, we haven't made any changes from yesterday. He just has to up his game a little bit. His aggression's there. I mean, we're up against a tough rider. Total respect for Alistair. You know, he's a phenomenal rider as well. So it's going to be the best man wins today, I think, for sure.
I think it is. Now, do you think anyone else, and obviously Jack Kennedy got his first ride in, do you think anyone else might come into play, have an effect?
It's hard really to see. I mean, these two have been in a class of their own, especially here, and Jack did come into play earlier. Yeah, I'd like him to come into play today and be in play for us, but I don't know. You know, the times they might be running at, will the others be able to match it? You know, let's see.
Well, they haven't so far this year, but I just wondered whether that would just be a little breakthrough for him or not.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, we're on the second row. That's not ideal, of course. Alistair's on the front row, but Ben's a good starter. But yeah, if the others get in the mix, that could upset things a bit. I mean, Ben has to finish in front of Alistair, whether he wins it or not, but he's got to be in front of him. I think I got that right to say he wins the championship, but what will be, will be.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Can't wait. Come on, let's go and have a word with some of the Relentless boys as well. We're covering here. I'm not going to disturb Alistair because he's got so much to concentrate on. We'll have a little word with Philip. We'll grab a quick word with you, Philip. I'm going to leave the boys alone because I know what the pressure's like. They're all thinking they're getting focused. How are you feeling?
I'm more nervous than they are, so but I'll try my best.
I mean, it's been an absolutely wonderful championship this year. Yeah, these guys have just been on another level. 9 wins apiece. Incredible.
Yeah.
And it comes down to this. It comes down to the final race. Just 4 points.
Yeah.
You know, how, as a team manager, how do you handle that?
Do you know what? I think it's the best championship I've ever seen. Certainly the best one I've ever been part of. And it's actually quite fitting that it's winner take all here. They've got to whoever wins it takes it. If it's second and third, there's another interesting scenario which we've already mathematically.
You're going to win on seconds because you've had more.
Absolutely.
I already worked that out. No, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic way. I can't wait as well. It's been a brilliant championship, and you're right. There's some justification in that, isn't it? Winner takes all.
Good, clean, fair race is what we're looking for.
Yeah, great. Well, we've had it all year, and I'm sure we will again. Good luck. Well, there you go. I mean, you can feel it. I can't wait for this one. Tony, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, James. Yes, it's so exciting down here in pit lane. Very exciting out on the grid. Can you imagine what the riders are going through right now? Listen, while we were bringing you that Supersport grid walk, we did have the championship podium for the Sunoco British 125 GP Championship, and there it is, Carl Ryde with a champion trophy. You can hear the support that the kids got round here. Rob Guyver alongside him, and Wayne Ryan on the other side of the podium, but it is Carl Ryde who is out there. He is the champion, the Sunoco British GP 125 champion for 2011. He won the last 5 races on the bounce of the championship. He had some titanic tussles with Wayne Ryan and with Rob Guyver, and he came out on top. Where on earth such a talented youngster will end up remains to be seen, but we hope that whatever he does, he's successful in. Now, joining me at the end of pit lane is Gino Rea, World Supersport doyen. You don't even know what that word means, do you? No, that's good. And James Whitton, now he is a doyen, he doesn't know what that word means, so I won't use it too often. Gino, good to see you. We're about to get underway with the British Supersport Championship finale. 4 points between Wilson and Seeley. You saw the races earlier on. You saw the race earlier on today. What are your thoughts going into this one? Who do you fancy?
Oh, it's hard to put a finger on who's going to take the title, but I think it's going to be a close race, and it'd be good to see a good battle just between the two of them, and let's see them get their elbows out and really fight for this championship. But I don't think it's going to be so easy for them. They've got 3 other riders who can get in the mix and be championship, not rivals, but get in the way.
They can really affect the championship. That's the thing.
They can massively affect the championship, but look at the concentration on Ben Wilson's face. He could turn milk sour looking at it like that.
I tell you what, I've got to say that having spoke to both the main protagonists, both Ben, the man we're looking at there, and to Alistair, Ben seems to be the one, that's Alistair, and Alistair seems to be one who's cool, and you can never tell what's going on inside.
No.
But outwardly, Alistair's a bit more kind of calm, laid back. What will be. Ben's a bit more fired up for the fight,
Ben much more wears his heart on his sleeve out of the two of them. They're very different characters, Gino, but they've really gone at hammer and tongs all season. And they're so evenly matched. I mean, we've got 4 points separating them into the last race. It doesn't get much more tense than this. Yeah,
it's been a great season. They've been, like you say, fighting all throughout the year, so close. They've always matched each other's pace, and Seeley's upped his game to match him in the first half of the year. And now it's all turned around, and it's whoever wins this race, if they're at the front, the 4 points difference doesn't really make a difference now. It's whoever wins. So winner takes all, and see what happens. It's going to be exciting, I think.
Are you nervous? I am a little bit.
I've been in exactly the same position, for the championship.
We've seen you,
at the same thing, the last race of the year. So,
we saw it.
I know how it feels to be in them boots. And
how do you feel?
I'm more nervous here than I would be on the grid.
Yeah, I'm going to say, because we saw you that time, and you were all right. You took it in your stride, and you were good.
Yeah, I don't normally mind a bit of pressure. I normally perform better under the pressure.
Yeah, you've got to do at a certain level.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
And you're not one of these riders who sort of squirrels away inside your own head on the grid, are you? When the pressure was on, I remember you were quite loose, you were chatting, was that a distraction for you at that time? Was it just chat to people, get talking, let the time go by?
No, not really. I just, try and do my own thing and just try and be myself on the grid and how I usually am, and take the race as it goes. Just try and, my focus is always to get a good start and see how the race pans out.
You touched on it a little earlier on, but Christian Idden, Jack Kennedy, Sam Warren, 3 of the hardest races out there. Paul Young is out there as well.
Yep.
And any one of those, James, could have a real effect on the outcome of this championship.
Absolutely. What we saw in the race we've already seen today, when the conditions were hideous, really, damp patches, wet patches, really treacherous, was the Supermoto boys, Idden and Warren really, really pushing. Warren fell foul of the conditions, ran over a damp patch, down he went, he's out of it. And Idden, I think, could have won that race if it had got going early. He had the fastest lap for a few laps on the trot. He could have, and you're dead right. Jack Kennedy, really pleased for him. He's a brilliant lad. He's always got a smile on his face. Knocked himself about a little bit previously this year. Broke his back, in fact. That's not knocking yourself about, that's proper injuries. He's back, he's got his first win. I think he can raise his game. And let me tell you, he's not going to stop. He's not going to think, oh, hang on a minute, I might affect this championship. The Dubliner is going to have a go. So you're dead right, they could have a big effect on this championship.
Nobody's going to pull their punches in this, Gino. You know Supersport better than any of us, and in this championship, if you want to earn this win, you have to take this win.
Yeah, of course. Like you say, Supersport's very close racing, and it's not just going to be between them two, like James was saying, and it's going to be interesting to see who gets up there and gets involved in the battle, and who really wants to go for the race win, and just see how it pans out. I think it's going to be good.
Christian Idden, confidence is high, as you said. After that race earlier on today, he said to me, I felt that win was on.
Yeah, he's actually a confident lad, is Christian. He's from a racing family. His dad was brilliant. I don't think ever British champion, might have been, but really, really good rider. Did World Superbike in its early days, did Paul. But Christian's a confident lad, and he'll relish this. He really, really will. And I tell you what, he'll have a go. No championship position to affect. There's Philip Neal. He's got me feeling the nerves.
Philip Neal, the team boss of Relentless by Taz Suzuki. We have Paul Young out there, we have Billy McConnell out there. But also all these riders who have really shone at different times this year. They're all heading out there. Christian Idden there, fixing his eyes on the prize. Ben Wilson just behind him on the grid. And Christian Idden, the man who is on pole position. Pole position this time out, Whit.
Yep, through his lap time in the previous race. But I'll tell you what, he ain't going to muck about in Christian. For all his kind of like laid back, bit of a smiler, looks quite young for his age. He will stick it in where he needs to. He's not violent, but what's the word? Aggressive.
He's a bruiser.
And he's out for himself as well. It's this time of year when everybody's looking for a contract and a ride for next year, and that's the most important thing to him, and not the battle between Alistair Seeley and Ben Wilson.
They're keeping them hanging on for a while here, Gino. What would be going through your mind right now on the grid?
Just be focusing on my game plan in the race and getting a good start, and I'll be visualising the passes that you can make, and how it's going to come down them last few laps, and that's what gets you tense. So you need to stay relaxed, and you can see there Ben Wilson, he's looking pretty relaxed, just standing next to the bike. So
you think that's relaxed? I think he looks really tense to me. I don't know about that.
Yeah, actually, as they zoomed in, I'll change my mind.
The thing is, while all this is going on, there's people on the grid, there's television cameras, the lights and the horns are going off. Are you really nervous? I'll tell you what, once that visor's down and everybody's off the grid, it's just you and your motorbike, then all the nerves will go, and that turns to kind of focus and aggression and whatever you need to do your job.
Get out there and start the riding, definitely. You just saw Norma Dibidolf alongside Ben Wilson. Oh, poor old Norma. She feels everything that Ben goes through.
She's like a mum to all the riders.
There she is. There's Norma. Hello, Norma.
With the comedy glasses on.
Excellent. And Norma will be crying at some point through this race, because Norma always cries, whether she's happy or sad or so bless her. Well, Alistair Seeley, the wee wizard. You always get this impression. Oh, that's nice. Josh Brush has gone out just to wish him all the best and get him going as well. The pair of them now. Josh Brooks now lives in Northern Ireland, so they've got close in the team out there, and it's nice to have that support from another rider, Gino.
Yeah, definitely. When your support team to the main superbike team, and you've got someone like as experienced as Josh Brooks, who's been in similar positions, it's nice to have a bit of extra confidence and words of wisdom.
And for all of the criticisms that Josh Brooks gets, he's a genuine bloke. A massive crowd here, James. Huge crowd, end of season, and they are so knowledgeable as well. They know they're racing.
Hey, there's lots of them, they're knowledgeable, but none of them, not one, knows exactly what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes, I'll tell you.
None of these guys know what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes either, least of all Alistair Seeley, the man who keeps it all inside, has the tightest style on the planet, alongside the man who wears his heart on his sleeve and is loose almost to the ragged edge, Ben Wilson. On bike number 15, there is Wilson, waiting for the off. All he wants to do now is get going on that and flick the visor down and get on with that. And come on then, Gino. I'm not going to let you off without a prediction. The hardest job of the day. Who's going to win?
I was waiting for that. Seeley.
Oh, I like it, Seeley. You think just because he's more composed?
I just think he's been really strong around here all weekend. He doesn't make many mistakes for a start.
He already has here, though.
Yeah, apart from that one. That's his one for the year. I don't know. I still put my money on Seeley, I think.
Okay, and where?
Neither of them make mistakes. They both made one mistake all year, and that's racing right at the sharp end with each other and knocking each other about. I'm going for speaking from my heart, Ben.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see how this all pans out as they cross the line, of course, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of elbows and shoulders rubbing here. Let's get on then with the final Fuchs Silkleen British Supersport Championship race of 2011. For the last time of asking, they are sending them out. 4 points separates championship leader Ben Wilson from second place man Alistair Seeley. It comes down to this then. After a year of racing, the next 25 minutes are going to tell the final chapter of what has been a thrilling story. Let's go over to our commentator then trackside, this one for James Hayden and Jack Bernicle.
Already reduced from 16 laps to 12 then. That's how many laps remain to sort out this Fuchs Silkleen British Supersport Championship of 2011. Ben Wilson on 429 has a 4-point lead over Alistair Seeley on the relentless by Taz Suzuki. And then Billy McConnell with a 15-point advantage over teammate Paul Young at Oxford Tag Triumph, third and fourth. Sam Warren, after that unlucky exit with a lap to go in the race this morning, still fifth on 187. Now just 9 points ahead of pole sitter Christian Idden on his Oxford Tag Triumph, and then it's Luke Mossey on the Smiths of Gloucester, 6.75 ahead of Jack Kennedy, brilliant race winner this morning. Dan Cooper and AJ Venter in 10th place. Luke Stapleford's Kawasaki 11th ahead of Gary Johnson, Matt Whitman and Jimmy Hill. Steve Plater rounds out the top 15 alongside Lee Johnston and ahead of Marty Nutt, Pauli Pekkanen, Dean Hipwell and Jess Traylor. The grid is headed by the fastest lap setter this morning, Christian Idden, who came on really strong in the last 3 laps of the race, ahead of race winner Jack Kennedy, and then championship chaser Alistair Seeley, and race leader until the moment that he fell this morning, Sam Warren. The second row, Ben Wilson on the Gearlink Kawasaki, Paul Young, Daniel Cooper on Triumphs, Luke Stapleford, number 8, on the profile Bournemouth Kawasaki, and then it's Billy McConnell, Luke Mossey, David Payton and Pauli Pekkanen. Row 4, Aaron Walker, Jess Traylor, Josh Day, Sam Hornsey. But really, our eyes are on the two on the front two rows of the grid. Alistair Seeley just coolly rolls up on the relentless by Taz Suzuki onto his front row place on the grid. The space alongside him, Philip Neal, a Grand Prix motocrosser 20 years ago, heading that bunch that described themselves as the Happy Paddies, know that it's all down to Alistair Seeley on track, and this man Ben Wilson setting himself up on the gear link Kawasaki for what he knows needs to be a lightning start. He's behind Christian Idden there with that gap to aim for through the paddock hill. The red light goes out. Wilson tries to get the drive down. Christian Idden glances over his shoulder. Ben Wilson tries to get through the gap underneath Alistair Seeley, but he does make it through at least a second. But it's Seeley who's got the advantage down Paddock Hill Bend, and the two men right straight away. He goes for the inside line. Ben Wilson decides he's got to make his move early to make and unsettle Alistair Seeley and make him work for this. It's already on. The battle rules, well, they've been thrown away. It's all everybody for himself, and there's just two men in it already. First lap out of 12, and it's cut and thrust between Ben Wilson and the super smooth Alistair Seeley.
Yeah, Ben Wilson showing his intent straight out the gate. Fantastic start from second row. Alistair Seeley looking to draft him, but he's caught on the wrong side of him. He swaps over to the inside as they come down the hill. Well, it's been like this all year, and it starts like this.
Wow, and this is the thing, from the very first lap, from the first 200 yards of any race they've been in, it's been like this. What an extraordinary race, already forming down Pilgrim's Drop, beg your pardon, make that Dingle Dell, up the hill into Sheen Curve, and it's the bright green and orange Gearlink Kawasaki of the fiercely determined Ben Wilson. His mum and dad always here, of course, Shirley and Richard. Shirley does his pit board on from the pit lane wall. And I don't know what she'll put on this time around. I think she'll just leave him to it for a while.
Yeah, Jack Kennedy as well. He slipped up in the third. Remember, Jack Kennedy won this morning in those tricky conditions. Ben Wilson is just incredible out there. He's pulled. Remember, Seeley has been he's been the king round here. He was the king round here earlier in the year, and at the moment, Ben Wilson absolutely going out the gate.
So second lap out of 12, Wilson leads it ahead of Alistair Seeley. And Jack Kennedy could have a real part to play in this. Look at the start here. You could see Christian Idden glanced over his shoulder. Alistair Seeley moved across, closed the gap, so there was no way through there for Ben Wilson, but Wilson just would not be denied going into Druids.
And that was the move. That was the first lap, back at the front of the race. So we got Wilson, Seeley, Kennedy, Idden, Stapleford, McConnell.
And you know, where Kennedy and Idden could have a part to play in this, I don't think this is by any means, just might not be the two-horse race it so often has been during the course of the season.
Well,
Ben Wilson just has all the power down out of Hawthorn.
Now, the interesting man for me is Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy, awesome in the early part of the season, broke his back at Thruxton, he's out. Was working around that frame, he's come back, got that win this morning, first win of the year, and that will build his confidence, and he's closed these guys already. We got this little trio at the front, and in another lap, Jack Kennedy, well, it's not even another lap, 3 more corners, and he's going to be right on the back of them.
So as they go under the bridge, that tucks them into clearways, and then the Clark Curve, the second half of that huge turn onto the Brabham Straight, and Ben Wilson using every inch of track as he completes lap 2, just in the lead. Now can Seeley line him up going into Paddock Hill Bend, but Ben Wilson just heads for that inside line.
Oh, God, that was so close there. Really was. A few damp patches still about, and you've got to remember, Jack Kennedy, fastest lap of the race.
1:29.259. Kennedy, fastest man on track, closes right down on the leaders.
God, round there's still those little damp patches. It scares me every time I see him go around that corner, they're still there. Remember, what's going on in the championship? After 24 races, just 4 points separate that man. Ben Wilson, number 15 on the Kawasaki.
Here comes Seeley up the inside into Surtees. And Ben Wilson refuses to yield. Seeley has to just fractionally back off, and then Ben Wilson cuts back across him on the drop-down Pilgrims.
I tell you, that was close, Jack. That was really close. Got to be careful, these two. They've kept it pretty clean most of the year. One little coming together at Silverstone. Not really anyone's fault, racing incident, but it's all coming down to this. And Seeley, he wants to get past. He knows he's got +0 on his board. The fastest man behind him is Jack Kennedy. He's trying to get past. Ben Wilson having a little moment there. Whew.
Ben Wilson has plenty of them. Out of Dingledell, through Sheen Curve. What a blistering race in prospect. And Jack Kennedy hustling the two leaders. Confidence blossoming after that win this morning. He sees Alistair Seeley right there in front of him, and he knows Seeley's equally desperate to find a way past Wilson. Completing the third of 12 laps. 1/4 race distance already. We want this to run and run. Look at Seeley on the limit. The ragged edge coming through clearways. Pulls out alongside the Kawasaki, but once again Ben Wilson so late on the brakes into Paddock Hill. How does he bring it back?
And look at the man in fourth as well on the drive, Christian Idden, fastest lap of the race.
1:29, Idden, 1:29 flat. I thought he might have a part to play in this, Idden, because he was so powerful towards the end of race 1 this morning.
Yeah, so but as we were saying earlier, just 4 points separate these two. So they've got to, it's basically, they've got to beat each other to win the British crown. They have just been like this, locked together.
Seeley again looks for that inside line into Surtees. This time he's really is wide. Determined. No, he's not. He's going to hold. He's going to cling on to that curve, which he does. Sure. Now then, Seeley has got to the front. That makes a difference. That gives him a 1-point advantage in the championship table right now.
Yeah. Now the other thing is got to be Ben Wilson's coming straight back underneath him. It's so fast into here. It's over 110, 120 mile an hour as they come out of there. Awesome move.
A courageous move there by Wilson.
Well, he is courageous. He's
it's almost like he doesn't need bike. He doesn't need brakes. Well, he does short track on speedway tracks during the winter. Perhaps he doesn't run with brakes there. But that was amazing.
This is just what he wants. He doesn't want to let Seeley get in his groove. Look at that. 3 abreast. Ben Wilson pulls out, slips up the inside of Seeley. Seeley, we saw yesterday when he got ahead, he tried to break him. He tried to make that break. And Ben Wilson's going to be very careful.
Seeley once again as they come out in the clearways through the Clark curve. And Jack Kennedy trying to make a dive up the inside. Oh, where did he get that drive from on the Geerling Kawasaki? Wilson up the inside, shoots across, and once again yanks back the advantage for Alistair Seeley. And right behind them, of course. What do you do if you're Jack Kennedy or Christian Idden? Do you think, heavens above, do I get involved in this?
Yeah, they're just racing for themselves. They will get involved is the answer to that. And it's just such a fitting way, a fantastic race to finish a fantastic year. It's almost a shame either of them have to lose, Jack.
It truly is. Through Graham Hill Bend, along the Cooper Straight. This is where Seeley tends to be able to chuck it in narrow and tight. But this time, a defensive action by Ben Wilson. Will it affect his corner speed out of Surtees? Up the hill, he's got to find the speed to keep himself ahead down Pilgrim's Drop. Oh, look at Seeley, absolutely alongside him, pulls out early to get the inside line into Hawthorns, and this time he has made a move on Ben Wilson.
Yeah, he got a good drive there from Wilson's earlier mistake. These two though, wow, I mean, what are we doing? 29 sixes, so obviously the few damp patches are just keeping them off the lap record pace. So just a second and a half sort of slower just because of those things, but wow.
Now Seeley trying instantly to see if he can open a gap over the courageous Lincolnshireman. Is it going to happen? We've got the tiny wee wizard from Northern Ireland versus the 29-year-old Ben Wilson in bright green, running in second place, which is 1 place lower than he needs to be.
Now this is when he's got Seeley into there so quick. You saw him bump back on the bump coming into clearways, but Ben Wilson cannot afford to let him go. He's got to stick with him if he's going to take a chance of winning this crown. As you say, if it stayed like this, Seeley would win the championship by 1 point.
So Alistair Seeley, relentless by Taz Suzuki, the winners of the British Supersport champion 4 years ago in 2007 with Michael Laverty. Are they going to do it again? Seeley so composed as he just clips the curb going through Druid and slides exquisitely out. Ben Wilson clinging on to the back wheel by about a couple of bike lengths.
Now Seeley is definitely stretching the pace a little bit here. We see him just take off a tear off, but you can see they were quite closely grouped. They're just starting to pull a fraction. That shows you the points if it was to end as it stood right now. 1 point between them. And look at Seeley, he's just edging away. It's going to be a quick lap.
This is just what Gino Rea said before the race, that the actual outright sheer speed was in favour of Seeley, that he's been looking quicker right from the outset during the qualifying and free practice sessions.
Yeah, he has, but this is, we saw him push along like this and he's trying to make that break. This is going to be as hard a lap as he can absolutely put in. You pass the guy you want to and then you give it the best lap you can, and there's even more into it because this is all about the championship. He's got the advantage because he has been the quick man around this circuit, but Ben Wilson, he will fight like an injured tiger.
So as they come up to complete the 6th lap, half distance of 12, the final and deciding race in the Supersport British Championship of 2011. And across the line, check out the times. I think this is a quick lap for Seeley. Seeley scorches across the line. 128.7, 128.9 Wilson, 129.0 and 129.4 for the front 4 riders down to Christian Idden. But that lap, that was a scalding lap. But once again, you do not shake off Ben Wilson. He's phenomenal, the tenacity of the man. He's coming back again for more. And he's dropped down the hill. He's very, very hard to shake off on those tighter sections.
Just made a tiny little error, cost him just a 10th of a second there. But this is all he can do. He's going as hard as he possibly can. It's just seemed like Seeley's just had that little bit, a 10th or 2. And it's just seemed like he's had that all weekend. And at the moment, he's just doing all he needs to do. He's just eking away. What can Ben Wilson do?
At the moment, Seeley does hold that narrowest of advantage. Oh, Ben Wilson, massive moment coming out of Hawthorn. And that, again, just allows Seeley... Oh, but Seeley himself getting a kick and a weave as he goes down through Westfield. So smooth on that black, relentless by Taz Suzuki. Ben Wilson, quite the opposite. And he's got Jack Kennedy to think about at the moment, because Kennedy is suddenly right there with him, perhaps going to match his lap time on this lap as they come down towards Clearways. 7th of 8 laps.
Oh, and again, these guys all absolutely at the top of their game. We've spoken about it so much. Seeley again, there's another quick lap. Let's have a look at what time he does as he crosses the line. 28.8. So they pull half a second on that lap. He's got 0.8 of a second lead. So that is that we're seeing there. He's just edging away, and this is all he's got to do at the moment.
It must be massively frustrating. How do you keep any kind of control on your passions when you're in Ben Wilson's position, James? And he's got to somehow just ride to his absolutely infinite maximum, and yet keep on 2 wheels somehow, try and stay somewhere near Alistair Seeley, but he can see Seeley inching away from him.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossibly hard. The other thing is, when you're just circulating around the lap record pace, it's not like you can take great big chunks back. You know, a 10th here, a 10th there, but once he starts to eke out, once you start to get to a second, Seeley's very, very experienced, super fast. He won't be making mistakes. He's just found a rhythm now, and he's just, bam, hitting apex to apex, just got in a really nice little sequence, and it's going to be difficult. What he needs to do, though, all he can do, Ben Wilson, is keep him under as much pressure as he can, go as hard as he can, and hope that he will either make a little mistake at some point, allow him to come back into the race, or have a problem. That's all he can do.
So, we're on the 8th lap out of 12, and here is the board going out to Alistair Seeley. Norma just looks on, hopefully, that in the hope that Ben Wilson can do something about this. We're just hitting the 3/4 distance range here in this buzzing 12-lap race here at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, the final round of the Supersport 600 British Supersport Championship.
Wow, 28.2 Alistair Seeley did on that lap. Yeah, the lap record that he actually broke yesterday, the new lap record is a 28 flat, so he's just a couple of tenths off. Remembering that we've got a few damp patches around the place, that is an incredibly quick time. Wilson, who did a 28.6, was you know, just a little fraction off him, but he's doing all he can.
Ben Wilson looking into the sunshine with those blue eyes, seeking just the line that he wants, trying to get the bike, the power down early. Seeley with that 1.2 second advantage. Could this be a late celebration, a 5 days late celebration for his 33rd birthday on the 40th of October, the lad from Ballymena? Because right now he holds the advantage for Philip Neal's happy-go-lucky bunch of paddies, as they refer to themselves.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I mean, both of these guys, Ben Wilson, you can see, he's riding the wheels off that gear-link Kawasaki. The whole team, the rider, they've worked so hard, as have the relentless task by Taz Suzuki team with Alistair Seeley. You know, these guys, there you go, fast up the race to Seeley. Both these guys, both the riders, both the teams, they've just done an incredible job. 9 wins apiece, then it's 8 seconds for Seeley, 6 seconds for Ben Wilson. You know, they have just been incredible in this championship, and it looks like he's just going to go Seeley's way now.
Christian Idden putting the pressure on Jack Kennedy. Idden keen again to get the Oxford Tag Triumph, a rostrum finish here in the final encounter of the year. We're on to the 10th lap of 12, 3/4 distance here at Brands Hatch in the beautiful basking in the early October sunshine as this battle for third place goes on between Idden and Kennedy. I'm just looking for where Idden's rivals are. McConnell down in 6th place, 7th for Paul Young, ahead of Dan Cooper, Pauli Pekkanen and Luke Mossey. Luke Stapleford having a strong ride in 5th place, about 4 or 5 seconds behind Christian Idden. This is is Ben Wilson. Well, 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, through 2001, when Ben Wilson, as a 19-year-old, won the first ever, the inaugural National Superstock 600 Championship, then called the Junior Superstock Series, and he desperately wanted to celebrate the 10th anniversary with another title here. Yeah. Christian Idden equally keen to celebrate the end of the season with another rostrum for the Oxford Tag Triumph team, and Jack Kennedy trying to hold him at bay. Seeley, though, 128.2 best so far, 128.4 on that last lap, helped him ease the gap out to 1.9 seconds now over Ben Wilson. Tell you what, they're both riding pretty much as fast as they can. They're on the limit. I mean, Seeley, because he's so smooth, it's not so evident, but he really is working hard on that Suzuki.
Yeah, he's a brilliant, well, they're both brilliant riders. And, you know, they are pushing. You know, Seeley is circulating in and around the lap record, lap after lap. Yeah, that's how he's done it. He's just managed to chip away, a couple of tenths here, a couple of tenths, and it's just slowly built up. But I feel for Ben Wilson, though, he's done everything in his power. He's tried as hard as he could, and, you know, as we said, one man had to lose, and it flowed one way and another. Ben Wilson obviously had that problem at Silverstone, 2 DNFs, you know, a mechanical problem, and then he touched Seeley and they went down. He's going to look over these points of the season and say, oh, if only this, if only that. But it's the way it is. Unfortunately, someone has to win and someone has to lose, and it's that man, Alistair Seeley, number 34, who's set to become the British champion.
Jack Kennedy still clinging on to that third place, just from Christian Idden. There is Idden, former University of Huddersfield student in sports sciences, and he really is putting all the pressure he can onto Kennedy. Can he make a move? Wilson working hard, still keeping that gap just hovering around the 2-second mark, so Seeley at least knows he hasn't completely escaped the attentions of the bright green Kawasaki. And as they go out of the saucer-shaped Sterlings now, on the 11th of 12 laps, time runs out for Ben Seeley's championship chances, and it could just be that a kid who's raced in Ireland, and both as a motocrosser and as a road racer, even has spent time in the AMA in 2006 over in the States, moved over to New York with Team Celtic Racing. Could it be that, look at Hector Neal there, bang in the middle of the picture, and he's already looking with a look of glee on his face. It's the final lap here. Jack Kennedy still holding that third place. More importantly, from Alistair Seeley and the relentless Taz Suzuki team's viewpoint, he leads the way by 2.2 seconds from Ben Wilson as they come down, and he really has been the fastest man here at Brands Hatch throughout the weekend. This was perhaps should come as no real shock. Kennedy on the Appleyard Macadam Yamaha still fending off the triumph of Christian Idden. So the final lap here of the Fuchs Silterline British Supersport Championship, a memorable campaign in 2011. Oh. It's finally going to go, it looks like, Seeley's way, 10 wins to 9. It's been balanced on a knife edge throughout the whole campaign. And as they and Seeley, of course, all credit to him for fighting back from a huge deficit mid-season.
It looked like he didn't stand a chance, and you know, Wilson had all the momentum in the first part, and then it slowly changed to Seeley, and Seeley's had it ever since.
So with the final lap coming to its conclusion, it looks like the 33-year-old Northern Irishman on riding for the Northern Irish team, relentless by Taz Suzuki, he's going to take the Fuchs Silterline 2011 British Supersport champion. It is number 34, Alistair Seeley, to the delight of Josh Brooks and the whole squad. There'll be some Guinness being sunk tonight, and sadness inevitably for Shirley Wilson there on the right, and for Norman de Bidauf. For Ben Wilson's brilliant campaign comes to a close, and Ben Wilson compliments the winner, and they'll probably be, well, he'll be aching inside, but he's got to say congratulations to Alistair Seeley. What a contest they've given us throughout this year, wholeheartedly. Kennedy hung on to third ahead of Christian Idden. And Josh Brooks and Philip Neal and all the gang of Irish lads can enjoy that.
Also looking back with McConnell beating Young, that means McConnell will finish third in the championship. So third for Billy McConnell there in the championship. But how you feel for these guys? They've worked so hard, and it has to happen. Alistair Seeley, he deserves it. He's won it. But Ben Wilson equally, you'd say, as you say, Jack, balanced on a knife edge. 10 wins to 9, and but this little man, he did the job. He did what was needed. He didn't make any mistakes, and he takes the British Championship.
5 foot 4 inches, all 9 stone of him dripping wet, even smaller than his dad, who was a professional jockey. Alistair Seeley becomes the British Supersport Championship at the relatively ripe age of 33. But of course, he was late getting into this. He explained it himself as saying at 17 he got into pubs and clubs and girls, and his career went to pot for a while. Alistair Seeley, he's come back in style. He has won. Remember, he won the National Super Stock Championship a couple of years ago. Now he's done it on the Suzuki in the Supersport Series ahead of Ben Wilson. He wins that final race from Jack Kennedy and Christian Idden. Luke Stapleford had a strong ride into 5th ahead of Pauli Pekkanen, who has been impressive all weekend. Billy McConnell 7th ahead of Matt Whitman, Paul Young and Dan Cooper. 6 triumphs in the top 10. And Luke Mossey in 11th place ahead of Sam Warren's in bike Interceptor by Seaton Tuning. Yamaha Martin Nutt's Honda 13th. AJ Venter 14th. Jess Traylor gets the final point ahead of Sam Hornsey, Josh Day, David Payton, Di Jones and Paul Curran. So the championship standings look rather like this. Alistair Seeley 450, Ben Wilson 449, and that was a real championship. There was no false engineering there. Billy McConnell finishes 3rd on 254. Paul Young 4th, 237. Joint 5th, Sam Warren and Christian Idden. Idden needed that pass on Kennedy to move into 5th place. Jack Kennedy finishes 7th, 8th place for Luke Mossey, 9th Dan Cooper, 10th Luke Stapleford, 11th for AJ Venter, 12th place for Matt Whitman ahead of Gary Johnson, Jimmy Hill, Steve Plater and Lee Johnston, Marty Nutt, Pauli Pekkanen, Dean Hipwell and Jess Traylor. This is Philip Neal. He feels that sense of elation of being a champion again. As he said, when we first came onto short circuits with our team, they kind of scoffed at us. We were the Irish lads who went out and did road racing. And you could see a pat of congratulations from Andy Smith, the MD at Yamaha there, congratulating Philip Neal. Ben Wilson will be disconsolate, but what more could he do than that? That was a fantastic rearguard action.
Okay, we are here in Parc Fermé, and I'm going to come to Ben Wilson first. Ben, emotions are running incredibly high. I feel incredibly sorry for you to lose the championship by just that 1 point. But you gave such a great account of yourself this year. The racing has been phenomenal. You and Alistair Seeley have raised this championship to new heights. We haven't seen anything like it. What's going through your mind right now?
Just gutted, I lost it, I lost the championship, and there's not really a lot I can say. I threw away too many points, and so I hold the blame myself. So that's the way it is.
The blame is put on your own shoulders by yourself, but you have to take consolation in the fact that your racing, your riding, your championship year has been the strongest we've ever seen from you, Ben, and you can only go from here and move forward.
Yeah, for sure. It's not the end, but. Obviously, just at the minute, just feels like very disappointed. But it's just one of them things.
Let's turn our attention to the start of that race. You absolutely threw it all at the start of that race. It was fantastic. The moves early on, aggressive, fair, pushing hard.
Yeah, for sure. We tried at the start, and I made 2 big mistakes, and just allowed Alistair just to make the break on me once he'd got the gap. It didn't increase anymore, really, to be honest. But fair play to Alistair. He's rid a fantastic race, and it's the way it is, isn't it?
You're always the professional. It's been a delight to watch you. You've thrilled all of us and everybody around the world. Real big commiserations, but superb riding.
Thank you. I just want to say a massive thanks for all the support I've had this season. It's been fantastic, and I just want to thank everybody who's put up with me, and especially my fiancée Fran. She's put up with a lot this season, and I love her to bits.
Bless Fran, but very well done.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have a walk round here then, and well, there is the bike. There is the bike with the number 1 on it, Alistair Seeley's bike, and he's coming round here. Alistair Seeley's draped in the correct flag, of course. Congratulated by Hector Neal, Philip Neal on the other side of him. Come on then, Alistair Seeley. He's just going to stand up on the seat to wave to the crowd. Philip, come back here and just talk to me while your man's going up there with a trophy on. Your plan, you're the team manager, you said you had a plan all along for this one. I bet you didn't plan on it going down to the last race.
We had a plan and then plan again and plan again. Well, you come here actually expecting to go to the last race. That's really the only way you can do. So we sort of did, in the beginning, we thought it was going to go to the last race, and that's what happened. There's been a lot of ups and downs through the whole season. But, you know, fair play to Ben. He's sort of a fantastic season. Great rider. All the respect in the world for him. But honestly, he's the best. And that's it. End of story.
Nicely said, quite succinctly done. We'll leave you there. Alistair Seeley getting the plaudits of the crowd. Come on down, the wee wizard. Let's get you down and have a chat with you now. Okay, you knew what the game plan was going into this race. You said you just got to get out there and win. You've got to throw everything that you can at this race. Right from the start, you came under immense pressure from Ben. He was all over you like a rash. Talk us through it.
Yeah, at the start, I didn't expect Ben to go up inside in the Druids because of the damp patches, plus because he was so far back in second row. So it was a bit of a surprise, but it was a good job because he helped to pull me away from the pack then. And it was just going to be between me and him then, the whole race. And I sized him up in a few places, real close. It's a wonder he doesn't have black bodywork on his green bike. But I just sized him up. I was quicker in a few places, he was quicker in others. But I don't know whether the tyres come into it or whatever, but I felt real good. Felt good all weekend. The times that we were doing, it was going to be hard for Ben to match them. And yeah, just put the head down. Rode my own lines as I did at Silverstone, and they were fast lines. I'm sure I don't know what the lap times were, but I'm sure they were good enough. And seeing the board creeping up and up and up, and whenever I see that, that's probably my strongest point. It's just to keep riding hard and pushing hard. And big thank you to everybody involved. You know, my trainer Chris, everybody back in the Monkstown Boxing Club, personal sponsors, team sponsors. You know, there's Beacon Security, Red Torpedo Works, Relentless, Suzuki GB. You know, a big thank you to everybody. Ray Estates, DB Tiles, everybody else, Pirelli. So yeah, can't thank everybody enough. Even the chefs, fast food. They say give them a mention this weekend, so that's up to the boys, James and stuff.
Say hello to Rod in Spain, would you? Mate,
hello, Rod in Spain.
There we go. That's from Hector, the grand dame of this team. Just a very quick one. A handshake there from Ben Wilson. Just a very quick one about the. And handshakes there for the Dibadovs as well. Just a very quick question to you about the level of riding this year, because you and Ben, between you, have raised this championship to new heights. We've seen things we never thought we'd see Supersport bikes do with the pair of you. And what's next for you?
Obviously, it's been an awesome year. You know, sometimes you see riders take a step backwards to go forwards. Supersport wasn't that much of a step backwards because it's such an immense class, immense talent in it. And it probably suits me better, you know, my size, stature, with a lighter bike. But the bike was developed this year. It was always going to get stronger. I was always going to learn the bike and the tyres, and I feel the second half of the season we were stronger. I just had a slip up yesterday, which I thought that was more or less game over. But in motorbike racing, anything can happen, and just keep chipping away. And this morning, or this afternoon's race was really tricky, the lunchtime one. Damp patches, few moments for everybody. But just got to say thank you and say hello to Lewis if you're watching. Hello, Lewis. I'll be home soon, kid.
Okay, we'll leave it there. You are the Fuchs Supersport British Supersport champion for 2011. Alistair Seeley, the wee wizard. Very well done. Alistair Seeley there, our champion for 2011. Let's go and take a look at the highlights from what has been an astonishing race.
Off pole position, Christian Hidden gave an anxious glance to his right, expecting Ben Wilson to come cleaving through, which he duly did on the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. And Ben wasted no time clipping past Alistair Seeley into Druids Hill hairpin. Down the hill from there, and it was Ben who knew his work had to be cut out. He had to try and stay ahead of the relentless Baitar Suzuki. Time after time, Alistair would try and find a way through. Time after time, Ben would manage to cut him off. And that would be the story of the first half of this race, as tense and hard fought as anything they've produced during the course of the season. Like this moment going into Surtees, we thought that surely Alistair Seeley had made the pass, but no, Wilson fought to hold on to his line, but in the end that would cost him on the sheer speed down into Pilgrim's Drop. And finally Alistair forced his way through. He was going to keep doing it at this point into surtees until Wilson was forced to yield. And at that point, the just turned 33-year-old Ulsterman decided it was time to try and force a way through and get away, but it didn't work. Wilson came through again into Hawthorns, up onto the Derek Minter Straight, and finally, as they were heading down into Pilgrim's Drop once again, this time it was Alistair Seeley. He reversed that move. He probably learnt it from Ben the lap before. And from that point on, he just began to ease away, and nothing that Ben Wilson and the Gaelic Kawasaki could throw at him, even with moments like that costing him time, would pull the Suzuki back. Alistair Seeley then came through for the final time, the Clark Curve, and took the race win, and by a single point, the 2011 Fuchs Silkeleen British Supersport Championship for an absolutely thrilled, relentless by-task Suzuki squad. Bad luck to the boys in green and the girls. We'll await the rostrum here at Brands Hatch, and of course it will be rostrum for the championship as well, because the man who won the race took his 10th and crucial first race win, the 10th and crucial race win of the series to nudge himself ahead. Ben Wilson, who's held himself together so well, the young Lincolnshireman, steps onto the second step. Jack Kennedy was about to console him then, but he hasn't time, because Hector Neal and the fellas in black can cheer on their boy Alistair Seeley, the lad from Carrickfergus, who was a great, outstanding schoolboy motocrosser. In fact, won the 1996 Ulster Schoolboy Championship on, strangely enough and ironically, on a Kawasaki, before discovering pubs, clubs and girls for a while. And then at 20, when his dad suggested he tried road racing, he celebrated his 21st birthday with a club win at Agadawi, and look where it's led him. Just a dozen years on, in fact 13 years on, lucky for some, Alistair Seeley has been crowned champion. The award's presented by Richard Barrett, the marketing manager of Fuchs Silkeleen, and this is a great moment then for the former national super stock champion. As he said, you sometimes take a step forward to go and take a step back to go forward in your career, and he's certainly done just that. And he lets rip with the champagne. A delighted wee wizard Alistair Seeley is the Fuchs Silkeleen champion of 2011, and he's going to make the most of that, isn't he? I do think a few Guinnesses might just be downed this evening, and some bottles of red wine. Can we just compliment Ben Wilson on his immense efforts throughout the season? It really has been a championship of true drama here between those two, and Jack Kennedy proved what he might have been able to do with it if he hadn't got injured at Thruxton. He'd already had 2 second places at that point, and it's great to see a smile on Ben Wilson's face there on the left of picture. A really sporting response from a man who, of course, has just put everything he possibly could into his racing this year, and he'll be back, I'm sure, with the Gaelic Kawasaki squad in 2012. For these guys, there's Joe Seeley on the left. He did a bit of road racing himself, you know, as well as being a jockey, till his 350 Yamaha seized in the Northwest 200, and that put an end to his career. He suggested that his son should have a go at the circuits as he reached 20 and began to tire of the pubs and clubs. And here we have the British Supersport Cup Championship trophy table being presented, and the lad in civvies who hasn't been racing this weekend, he's been doing some racing, of course, with the split lap Aprilia team. It's John Simpson there in the middle of the picture, who is the British Supersport Cup champion of 2011, and has really been enjoying some. He's actually really enjoyed himself also riding some of the roads. He did the Gold Cup at Scarborough a couple of weeks ago with some success, John Simpson. So the young Ulsterman, proud to be the British Supersport Cup champion of 2011, and hoping to move on to better things in 2012, as all these lads like to imagine they will. Philip Neal there is, he's just, that's such a relief for him. As Philip so always engagingly honest, has constantly said, he gets more nervous than the riders, and even than he used to do himself when he was racing in motocross GPs 20 years ago. I'd like to thank him for the fact that we've got constant brews of wonderful tea from the back of their garage across the weekend, and it's great to see Philip enjoy this moment. Third place in the championship goes to the immensely popular Billy Skippy McConnell from Adelaide, riding the Oxford Tag for the Oxford Tag Triumph team. Second place for the hardest rider in the paddock, I reckon, Ben Wilson on the Gaelic Kawasaki. And victory in the championship, in the race. He clawed the whole, that 54-point or so advantage back from mid-season, never gave up the chase, and Alistair Seeley finally won that 10th race of the bit. What a nice way to round it all out. We get Billy McConnell then presented with the trophy for third place in the championship for the Oxford Tag Triumph team. Gearlink Kawasaki's Ben Wilson in second place. And the tiny little Alistair Seeley, who was brought up on a housing estate with a field close by, and the police used to be all forever chasing them off council property as they raced around on their bikes. But as Alistair said, they never caught us then, and it looks like they're still not catching him now. Alistair Seeley has the stage left to himself as he comes out to congratulate this great moment in his life. He's also been watched by former British motocross champ Vic Allen, who turned to road racing in his dotage, and Alistair Seeley came over to help them out to win an endurance race at Pembrey back in 2004. One of his first ventures onto the UK mainland, and look how it's ended up. Well done, Alistair.
So there we go then. Alistair Seeley is the Fuchs Hilton British Supersport champion for 2011. Doesn't he look good with that championship trophy in his hand, and why not? Okay, that is it for the Fuchs Hilton Supersport Championship for 2011. We now change our focus onto the final live race of the afternoon. It is the big one. It is the last outing for the MCE British Superbikes in 2011. They are forming on the grid, and James Whittam is over there. So James, for